In the summer 2000, my family think to sell all our property or our vines, 7 hectare in Barile town. In the summer 2000, I finished the high school. I think to study engineering genetics, and I think probably I go out Basilicata and I don't return in Basilicata to living. But when I know they sell not only the vines, but with the vines the house where I born, I decided to changing the plan of my life. Study agronomy, viticulture and enology. I study in Pisa in Tuscany, and I decided to start making a wine. My dream in the wine world start in 2000 and continue today, because today 25 years I working in the wine world, I travel in the world, and I live in Basilicata.
Welcome to this special Clubhouse session of the Italian Wine Podcast. Listen in as members of the Italian wine community engage in fascinating conversations about contemporary wine topics. If you enjoyed the show, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. And remember to subscribe and rate the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your pods.
Hi everyone, this is Beatrice welcoming you to the Italian Wine Clubhouse Ambassador's Corner, one of the top-ranked shows on Italian Wine Podcast. Here, our ambassadors get the mic to interview their favorite producers with total freedom. And if you miss it live, no worries. It's all recorded and dropped later on the Italian Wine Podcast. Today's guest host is Darya Nagornyak. Since 2018, Darya Nagornyak has been working in the restaurant industry with a strong focus on wine, specializing in Italian wines. She currently serves as a wine development manager at Alma Wine and holds the title of Italian Wine Ambassador. A certified WSET Level 3 professional, Darya is also vice president of Kazakhstan Sommelier Association in Astana, where she works closely with young professionals to foster and develop a wine culture in the city. Today she's gonna interview Elena Fucci of Azienda Agricola Elena Fucci. So Elena, Darya, how are you doing, my girls?
Hi everyone, ciao.
Hi, thank you. We're very well, I think.
Perfect. And Darya, are you ready for our 3 ritual questions?
Yes.
Perfect. So, how did you discover the wines of Azienda Agricola Elena Fucci?
So I first met Elena and I tasted her wines at Opera Wine in Verona in 2024, and it was fantastic experience because I remember that Elena was very smiling and very positive, and she introduced her wines, and so I loved her Aglianico, and now in Alma Wine I'm lucky to be working close with her wines and introduce it to wine lovers in Kazakhstan.
That's so nice. So tell us, why did you select Elena as your featured producer?
So I think that Elena's story of being winemaker is very interesting because, as I know, and I think we will discuss it later, Elena didn't want to be winemaker, and for the very short time, for the very short period, she achieved great results with her wines, and I think such experience inspire people, and also she brought new life to Aglianico. So it's very interesting to discuss this region and this grape variety and her story together.
You're right. And what are the learning objectives that we should expect from this interview?
So for me, for example, I'd like to know more about Basilicata region and about Aglianico grape variety, because Basilicata is a small thousand region, and honestly, we don't know a lot about this region, like about Tuscany or Piedmont or Veneto. And I think through Elena's wines, we can get more familiar with this region and with this grape variety.
I can't wait to hear this interview, really. So it's time for me to mute myself, and I'm turning over the floor to you, Darya. Have a nice interview, girl.
Thank you very much. So, Elena, let's start. And I have several questions for you. First of all, I want you to share with us your story, because as I mentioned, I learned that you didn't want to be a winemaker, and why you changed your decision and decided to become a winemaker and made your own project.
Before, thank you to select me for the interview. It's a pleasure and an honor for me. Thank you, Beatrice, and thank you. And hi, everyone, listeners. Okay, my dream in the wine world started in 2000 when my family think to sell the vines. Because I don't have in the family a story in the vinification because my mommy and my daddy are a teacher. My mommy teaching mathematics, my father physics mechanic in his life. Completely another work. And my grandfather and my great grandfather have the vines, but they don't making a wine. They sell the grapes, all other producer or at consortio. In the summer 2000, my family think to sell all our property or our vines, 7 hectares and half altogether around of cellar today, and in the Barile town. Barile town is my town. Barile is the name of my town. And in the summer 2000, I finished the high school, and I have the other project for me. I think to study engineering genetics, and I think probably I go out Basilicata and I don't return in Basilicata to living. But when I know they sell not only the vines, but with the vines the house where I born, and today I living here with my husband, but I born here. I decided to changing the plan of my life. I decided to study agronomy, viticulture and enology. I studied in Pisa in Tuscany, and I decided to start making a wine. And my dream in the wine world start in 2000 and continue today, because today are 25 years I working in the wine world. I travel in the world, and I live in Basilicata. My grandfather, he think to sell all in 2000, but after working with me another 21 years, because he died in the 95-year-old in the December 2021. He see all my project. He see the new cellar, he see the Titolo wine, and he see Titolo wine in the world. It's very proud for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that it's a great work, and it's wonderful that your grandfather could watch it and know that his vineyards now one of the most famous and most popular wine in Basilicata and in Italy, I think. And do you work with your husband? You work together?
Yes. Andrea, my husband, is from Florence. We living all together above the cellar, and we working all together. He started 3 years ago with a social project in my town, Barile, with the old people. Andrea buy the grape from the old people in Barile, and I help they to making a wine in my cellar. The name of this wine is Vera, and Vera is in the dialect in Barile is the wine, and is are a simple wine, but is most important for us, for me and for Andrea, to support the old people in our town.
Isn't the same story like your wine? I'm not sure in pronunciation. Can you help me? SCEG.
Sheg.
Yes, thank you very much. Sheg.
Yes, in the dialect in Barile, because in Barile we ask all the languages from Greek and Albania. The name of these languages is Arbresh. And it's completely another languages. It's totally different, Lucano dialect, okay? And Sheg is pomegranate, melograno in Italy, and is a symbolic of reborn. In the same way, we reborn all the pieces of vigna very close for us, and is a 1 hectare and half of vigna, very old, 70-year-old. And in 2016, the old people think to cut this these pieces of vigna. I and Andrea before to rent these pieces of vigna, and after in the December 2023 we decided to buy these pieces of vigna, and today we decide to making another wines, another label, because Sheg is another cru. My philosophy is a single wine, a single cru, a single label. Is like a French idea. Sheg wines are 100 meters less from Titolo. Titolo wines. Titolo is 600 meters on the sea level, and Sheg is 500 meters. Is 100 meters less and changing completely the soil and the microclimate. This is the reason we decided to making another wine, another label, because are many different. Titolo, the characteristic 600 meter high are the many layers of the many stratification of volcanic eruption. Sheg is a little bit more clay, and the middle of the clay are lava stone. And changing the microclimate, 600 meter high is the highest part of the appellation of the DOC and the DOCG Aglianico del Vulture, and the weather, the escorption night and day are very high, and is always a windy to refresh the grape. Okay, down the hills, the microclimate is a little bit more protect, and Titolo and Sheg are two expressions of the same grape, are two faces of the same grape. Titolo is an expression of the vertical wine because we are high in the soil, many layers, more lava, ash, and lapilli, okay, and very cold weather, very high escorption night and day, and Titolo is a vertical wine, acidity, minerality, and tannin. Sheg is a typically expression of Aglianico del Vulture on the clay soil. The clay soil give at Aglianico del Vulture around palate and a little bit more softy and a little bit more fruit.
So thank you very much. Honestly, I thought that Sheg is something like little brother of Titolo, and now I understand that it's two independent wine. Thank you very much. Very useful information. So, okay. Also, I read story that Sheg, it's like a first letters of your grandfather's friends.
Yes,
Is it true?
In 2016, my grandfather arriving in the cellar and asked with me and Andrea, are four friends of my grandfather. Arriving in the cellar, oh Elena, my friend want cut a vigna. It's very close to here. Why you don't ask with they and you buy this? Okay, no, now not is possible to buy now. I ask with they if possible to rent now, and after we think to buy, and we rent the vines in 2016. The first time in 2018 we produced the first time Sheg, and after in December 2023 we buy the vines.
So it also is like a social project.
yeah, exactly.
So, okay, let's discuss the terroir of Basilicata. Also, because I said that Basilicata is a small region, and unfortunately, we don't know a lot about this region and why it is unique and distinctive from other regions.
Mm-hmm. Sì. Basilicata is a big land. We are small because we are less people. In the whole Basilicata, we are 500,000 people. It's very less quantity of people. Here in the Vulture, we are in the part north of Basilicata, in the middle on the Appennino. The Vulture is an old volcano extinct, and we are unique because it's a volcanic land, and this is the reason the Aglianico del Vulture is unique, because we are on the volcano, and the volcano is like 1,300 meters, and the 16 towns around of Vulture are the DOC and the DOCG Aglianico del Vulture, with many different of soil, of weather, of microclimate. But we are totally different normal idea of South Italy, because usually the people when think of South Italy and when think a red wine in South Italy, the people usually think a very hot weather, very strong red wine. But for the Vulture this not is true, because we are in the middle, we are on the mountain, the sea is very far, and we are on the Appennino. And the weather is very cold. Every winter we have a snow, and summer and spring are very fresh with high escorption night and day. For example, in the summer, where in the morning we have 35, 36 degrees, in the night we have 21, 22 degrees. Very high escorption. The harvest of the Aglianico at this altitude is in the end of October, the first week of November. Is totally different normally of South Italy, and it's totally different the wine in the glass, because usually the people when think a red wine in South Italy think very strong red wine, more alcohol, more fruit, more extraction. For the Vulture this not is true, because the cold weather and the later grape like Aglianico del Vulture, the principal characteristic of the wine in this terroir are acidity, minerality, and tannin. Acidity because is a genetics component of Aglianico del Vulture, the acidity, but the high escorption night and day in the summer and the autumn before the harvest help to improve the acidity. And the minerality, the soil here are the stratification, the many layers of volcanic eruption, lava, ash, and lapilli. Sometimes is a brown part. The brown part is the clay and represent when the volcano is dormant. Today, the clay part is most important because the water draining in the lava, ash, and lapilli keep the minerality and nutrition facts. The clay stop the water like a sponge and give the water very slowly in the summer and spring, and the vines not have a never stress hydric. This is the reason because it's illegal irrigation here for the appellation. The DOC and the DOCG not is a possible irrigation. And the last characteristic of Aglianico del Vulture at this altitude is the tannic component, the sharp component is most important for this for this variety of grape to working very well with a phenolic maturation. Because the Aglianico is a later grape, the environment of the Aglianico is in the middle of September or the first after 10 days of September, and the Aglianico have very short time for the phenolic maturation, because have 2 weeks of September and 1 month of October for the phenolic maturation. Here is necessary at this altitude because we are the highest part in Barile of Aglianico del Vulture appellation. It's necessary to work with a less quantity of grape each single vines, because it's necessary to arriving at in the end of October with a perfect phenolic maturation. And after it's necessary to working very well in the cellar to give Aglianico a very elegant performance.
Thank you. Can we define the main differences between Aglianico from different terroirs? For example, the most known is Aglianico del Vulture, Aglianico di Taurasi, and Aglianico Taburno. So can we sum up how Aglianico del Vulture differ from other two Aglianicos?
Yes, Daria. Usually is a question this. Okay, in South Italy, the Aglianico del Vulture grape is a most important red grape. Not only in South Italy, but is the most important in Italy. But in South Italy is present especially in the south of Campania and the north of Basilicata. The first difference is in the clone. Are present in Italy 9 different clones of Aglianico. 7 are present especially in the Campania and have a many different name: Taurasi, Taburno, Aradiosigi, and after Benevento, Avellino, Sannio, are present in a very big area in Campania. In Basilicata we have only 2 clones and have a name of Aglianico del Vulture. And only in the Vulture we have the appellation DOC and the DOCG. In the rest of Basilicata we have many different the other appellation, but the most famous appellation in Basilicata is the Aglianico del Vulture DOCG. Okay, this is the first difference. The second difference is in the soil. We usually compare Taurasi and Vulture because the Taurasi and Vulture, the soil is volcanic origin. Taburno is calcareous clay, little bit different. Vulture and Taurasi are a little bit similar, but more different. It's very funny this. Similar because Taurasi is very far to Vesuvio, but in the soil Taurasi have ash arriving from Vesuvio with the wind. And in Taurasi we have very compact tufo, and this type of tufo is from the ash of Vesuvio. And the tufo very compact give at wine a little bit more austerity and a little bit more vertical in the Aglianico grape, okay? On here in Basilicata, on the Vulture, we have, I explained before you, we are on the volcano and the soil is a little bit not compact. The characteristic is the many stratification, the many layers of the many eruption of Vulture. And this type of soil give at Aglianico a little bit more minerality, and the minerality help drinkability, especially in the young part of life of the wine. I don't know I explain well, Darya. You understand with my English, because my English not is perfect. I try to explain you.
Oh, don't worry, everything is fine. I just make a short notice for me because we sell your wines, so it gain very useful information. And yeah.
Okay, thank you, Darya.
Do you have any plans for new projects or maybe new wines in the near future? Because you actively work with only Aglianico, yes?
Mm-hmm. My philosophy of production and my philosophy of my work is a single wine, a single cru, a single label is like a French idea. And we start with a titolo cru and we make only titolo wine. After we continue with the shag, and shag is a single cru, another single cru. And in the future, why not? Maybe it's possible to buy many different pieces of vines in the Vulture, and why not? For me, it's very interesting to produce a many different expression of Aglianico del Vulture, because I think this is the way to explain, to have a very good storytelling of Aglianico del Vulture grape, because the DOC and the DOCG of Aglianico del Vulture is a very big area, is 16 town around of Vulture, but the totally bottles in the appellation DOC and the DOCG are only 3 million medium. It's very less quantity, and today is very difficult to understand this big area. Is necessary to produce many different expression of Aglianico del Vulture, and many different in the soil, in the weather, in the microclimate, and is necessary to explain this. And I think in the future is necessary the zonazione, to working to have a many different in the many zone of Aglianico del Vulture land.
So don't you think to work with other grape varieties?
Oh, Daria, we are very young in the Vulture is very young in the wine world. We start working very well around 25, 30 years ago in this part of Basilicata. And for me it's necessary today explain very well the Aglianico del Vulture before start to produce a different wine or to plant a different variety. Before, it's necessary to working very well with the Aglianico del Vulture grape for the storytelling and the communication of terroir, of territorio. And after, it's possible. For example, my dream is to plant it on the Vulture at 800 meter high, for example, the Sauvignon Blanc, for example. But today, not possible for me, because for me today is necessary to working before for the Aglianico del Vulture grape. Maybe another 10 years after, why not? It's possible to start to experiment a different grape.
So cool. I understood you. I think it's very logical. Next, how do you see the future of Aglianico on the global markets and its role among Italy's great wine? What do you think about this?
Yes. It's necessary. It's necessary for the Aglianico del Vulture to working only for the quality, and it's necessary to working only for the high quality, because the Basilicata and the Vulture is a very small land, and is necessary to working for the enoturism and for the winemaking, but only for the higher quality. I think this is the way, but I think this is one way, because it's necessary for the very small land working only with a high quality in the service, in the wine tourism, in the winemaking, in the whole wine world, and in this way it's possible to have a return with the others living in this part of Basilicata and in the whole Basilicata.
Yeah, thank you very much. And one more question
Yeah.
I just thought in my head right now. For example, now we work with your wine with Titolo 2020.
Mhm.
And please, for me, just for me, can you say a few words about this vintage and about its aging potential?
Yeah. Okay. The shelf life of the Aglianico del Vulture, not only of my wine, is very long, 25, 30 years. Today you have the vintage 2020. The vintage 2020 is very balanced. Usually I divide the vintage of Aglianico del Vulture in the three different, to have an idea, I divide in the three big area. Balance, cold and warm. For the Aglianico del Vulture is most important the October month, the weather in October month, because I explained you before the harvest is in the end of October, the first week of November, and the environment of this grape is in the middle of September. It's very important the weather in the 2 weeks of September and 1 month of October. And October months have a big influence in the harvest. When October is balanced, and for us balance is when, for example, in the morning we have 22 degrees, in the night we have 12, 15 degrees, without rain, without humidity, without, okay, not is possible every year. But when the weather is this, the Aglianico del Vulture have the typically characteristic acidity, minerality, and tannin supported by flower and red fruit in the glass. When the October is very cold with a little bit more rain and the harvest arriving in the first week of November, the Aglianico del Vulture is very vertical wine, austerity wine. Acidity, minerality, and tannin are supported by center of minerality, of soil, of stone. I love, for example, the cold vintage. I love the cold vintage. But usually the people love the warm vintage, for example. And the last category for me is the warm vintage. In the warm vintage is when in October is warm. When in October we have less escorption night and day. For example, in the morning we have 20, 22, 23 degrees. In the night we have 18, 16 degrees. This is warm for us because in South Italy it's very dangerous to ask warm vintage because the people think of South Italy, I think very hot weather, very warm weather. But we are on the mountain, and for us warm is when we don't have the high escorption night and day, but when the escorption are less. In this way, we have in the glass of Aglianico del Vulture the acidity, minerality, and tannin supported by black fruit and spicy. Okay, this is usually the line, but it's most important what you eating with the wine. The wine alone not is my correct. The wine is okay when you think what you eating together. This is my idea, my philosophy. And it's possible to have many different abbinamento with many different vintages. Your vintages today, 2020, is a balance, very balanced vintage.
So you said a few words about dishes, and what can you suggest with your wines? Maybe the best combination with your Aglianico.
Usually, I think in the young part of life, the wine Aglianico del Vulture is better to have a fat meat. For example, lamb or arrosto, but with fat, because the high acidity clean the palate and help a drinkability and help to eating. Where the Aglianico del Vulture is a little bit more aged, I think is better. Why not the game? For example, cinghiale, pappardelle al cinghiale, or the cheese, our oldest cheese, for example. But usually, I think the Aglianico del Vulture is better with the meat dish.
Cool. Thank you very much. Usually, when I try to describe Aglianico, I always said that it's very powerful wine with South character, but at the same time, it's very, very elegant.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
one of my favorite questions for producers, what is your favorite wine to drink? What do you drink, for example, every day for lunch? Not necessarily your wine.
Yeah, I love to drink, especially the other wines. I in my cellar have a personal cellar, and in this cellar I have all vintages of Titolo and the other wines from Italy and the other part of the world. Because we love, especially to drink the other wines. It's normal. We study. My favorite grape is Nebbiolo grape. I love Barolo, Barbaresco, and Valtellina. There's three expression of Nebbiolo grape. I, in the wine, love the elegance, the acidity, the finesse. And when I choose the wine in the wine list at a restaurant, usually I going in the Nebbiolo grape. But I love French wines. I love Bourgogne. I love and the wine is my life, and my life is the wine. It's very difficult for me to choose what is my favorite wine and what is my favorite grape. Because I start in this world, in the wine world, very young, and my life is the wine, and the wine is my life. This is the the combination. Okay.
So it sounds very logic that you love Nebbiolo, because I know that Aglianico often compare with Nebbiolo, and it's like South Barolo.
Yeah,
So
or
sounds logical.
solo in the Nord Agliani.
Yeah. And my last question, I want to ask you what's inspiring you. Maybe you have some advice for people who maybe want to change their life and become a winemaker. Why you wake up every morning and go to the winery?
Oh, yes, it's very beautiful to working and to living in the wine world, but not is so simple. I think it's necessary to study. The first is study. The second is to have an idea of a wine world and what do you want and what do you make and why you make and why you want to make a wine. But not is simple. I know the wine world is a very glamour world, but it's necessary to study for to produce a quality and for to know a quality and for to working for the terroir for the high quality.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elena. I have no question more. And it was very interesting. It's always very interesting to talk with people who are on the wine process. So I think that you made a great job with your wines and continuing to do it. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, everyone, Beatrice, Daria, and for me it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. And I waiting all you in Basilicata. You visit.
I hope one day.
Thank you, Daria, and thank you, Anna. And really, we have to go to Basilicata, Daria. Now we have to. I want to try everything that she mentioned. Well, that was such a nice interview, girls. Really well done. How you doing? Are you happy about it? So how's the situation now?
Thank you so much.
Perfect. And thank you so much to have spent time with us. For those who are interested to participate, just send us a DM through our Instagram or mail our Italian Wine Podcast producers at info@italianwinepodcast.com. Thank you so much for everyone who's listening in, and thank you again, Elena and Daria. And this is a wrap from Italian Wine Podcast. Ciao, ciao!
Ciao.
Ciao. Thank you.
You too.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.